Hello, I'm Tanvi Gaikwad, and my teammate's name is Raghav Vakre, and the company we have selected is Nestle, and it is headquartered in Vevey, Switzerland. So, as we know, Nestle has a quite popular tagline which says "Good food, good life," and that's the mission it stands by. And it basically aims to provide the best taste and nutritious choices to consumers when it comes to food and beverages. And its vision includes being a leading competitive nutrition, health, and wellness company and aims to be a preferred company in terms of employer, supplier, and products. Now we'll discuss the company in detail, and to begin it, let's get into the insights of the company history and how it has progressed over a timeline. So it began in 1867 when two brothers, George and Charles Page, began the Anglo Swiss Condensed Milk Company in Switzerland, and their first British operation began in 1873 in Chippenham. So in 1866, the brothers who were from US applied their homeland knowledge and used the abundant supplies of fresh milk in Switzerland to establish Europe's first condensed milk company in Cham. And their marketing strategy was really strong and said that it is a safe, long life alternative to fresh milk. On the other hand, in 1867, a German born pharmacist, Henry Nestle, founded Nestle with its first product called farine lactate, which meant flour with milk in Switzerland. And this was an important innovation, especially because it decreased the mortality rate in infants who couldn't be breastfed. Henry started using the famous Nest logo as well, but in 1875, he sold his factory and company in Vevey to three local businessmen who began employing chemists and skilled workers to expand sales and production. An interesting turn was witnessed in 1878 when fierce competition developed between Nestle and Anglo Swiss, since they both started selling rival versions of each other's original products, and the products were milk and infant cereal. And during this time, both the companies expanded to abroad as well. A major event occurred in 1882 when Anglo Swiss expanded to US, but everything changed with the death of George Page that year, and it sold its US operations, which finally led to merging with Nestle. In 1904, Nestle began selling chocolate for the first time, and it was one of the first commercial products they started producing. In 1900s, Nestle's operations expanded to US, Germany, UK, and Spain, and Nestle's production doubled when the First World War increased the demand for dairy products. Chocolate manufacturing became the second most important activity for Nestle in 1920s, and it expanded to new products. It was a new phase for Nestle post World War II when it acquired multiple companies. Finally, in 1947, it merged with Maggi, and diversification in terms of shareholding was seen with L'Oreal in 1974. Nestle entered into several strategic partnerships, and one of them was in December 2007 with a Belgian chocolate maker called Pierre Marcolini. And today, Nestle owns more than 2,000 brands that are sold in more than 197 countries around the world. Their clear aim is to be the leader in health and wellness industry. And the company is not limiting itself to just nutrition, but is also expanding to beauty and health categories. And it's trying to diversify as much as possible. That was a brief about Nestle company's history. And now coming to Nestle products, we all have heard of many of them very commonly and at least use a few of them on day-to-day basis. And the products include baby food, bottled water, cereal, chocolates like Milky Bar and Kit Kat, Nescafe coffee, frozen food, dairy products, Milo drink, Boost, ice creams, pet care, Maggi, and several other products which can be seen on the screen. Coming to employees segment of Nestle, it's interesting to know that Nestle hires around 273,000 employees worldwide as of 2020. This was lesser than previous years due to the pandemic, but in 2014, it has been as high as 339,000 worldwide. Nestle India hires around 7,600 to 8,000 employees, and location-wise employee analysis for every country was tough to show here since Nestle operates in around 189 countries. The chart here shows the year-wise employee numbers, and it has been stable before the pandemic. Now let's get into the details of turnover and sales of Nestle. Firstly, let's understand the difference between sales and turnover. So, sales refers to the total value of goods and services sold by a business, and turnover is the income that a firm generates through trading its goods and services. So, for ease of analysis, we have shown the data of Nestle India's sales and turnover analysis in detail and Nestle Worldwide's analysis in brief. In the year 2020, Nestle India reported a net sales of over 132 billion Indian rupees, which was up from about 122 billion rupees in the previous year. This is strong data considering the pandemic in 2020 and other company data which faced a loss due to the pandemic. But Nestle went on doing better mostly because of people staying home and use of more Nestle products than usual. We even have previous year's data, and it can be seen that the company has been performing well by increasing the sales steadily every year. In December 2016, it was 9223 crores. In December 2017, it went up to being around 10,000 crores. And in December 2017, it showed a rise up to 11,292 crores. And we have already discussed the data from 2019 and 2020. So the table shows the details of expenses that are subtracted from the sales to calculate the turnover. These expenses included stock adjustments, raw materials, power and fuel, employee expenses, research and development, etc. Apart from all this, net profit loss for the period of different years, equity share capital, reserves excluding revaluation reserves, and equity dividend rate percent is also calculated, along with EPS before extraordinary and after extraordinary. EPS basically means employee pension scheme, and it's also calculated along with employee provident fund, which is EPF.
Thanks, Tanvi. I'll take it from here. Here's a performance report for Nestle across years. The performance sees a dip in the year 2015 because its flagship product, Maggi, faced the ban issue in that decade. However, to counter that, the performance index of Nestle bounced back, reaching an all-time high of 16.9 in that decade, which is often a result of a positive market sentiment after a big blow from the past. Nestle continued to see consistency in terms of performance moving ahead too. As far as the indices are concerned, with respect to the 4 quarters of 2020, the second quarter ended up seeing a major dip due to the lockdown and the world being taken down by the COVID-19 pandemic. The total operating revenue in 2020 increased by 8% in 2020. As a whopping 46.3% of that was attributed to milk products and the nutrition segment of Nestle. Nestle India's major revenue portion comes from its domestic sales, wherein 2020, 94.7% of this section was in the total revenue. What is noteworthy here is that the domestic sales were shifted to e-commerce sales, and the shift was from 0.6 in 2016 to a whopping 3.7 in 2020. Masses were seen taking to online modes of shopping rather than brick and mortar sales. Now, let us take it this unique case of Nestle India. As we all know that Maggi is a flagship product of Nestle and has widespread love from the market in India. And this specific case focuses on the very infamous or famous Maggi ban issue that took the nation over in 2014 and 2015. Let's deep dive into this issue. The focus of this case study is to deal with the impact of the Maggi ban that was faced on the market, and how it affected the financials for the company in the year 2014 and the year 2015. This study also goes on to discuss more on the marketing and the promotional strategies that were thus adopted by Maggi after it saw the ban. Now, food ban issues, especially those pertaining to bad quality, are infamous for disrupting the health of the consumers and therefore are quite sensitive in nature. If not dealt with correctly, such issues can also result in fatal outcomes. And that is what Nestle India was facing with respect to its product, its flagship product, Maggi. Each case study comes with objectives. Now, the objectives of this study were to find the root cause of this Maggi ban issue and the impact of this ban in the country. That also made the study look into the marketing and the promotional strategies adopted by Maggi after the ban. However, each case study comes with a certain set of limitations pertaining to human errors and data, and the limitations are as follows. The first limitation is time was taken as a constant, and the resources were also taken as a constant. Now, the other limitation would be that the data that was used for this study was collected from secondary sources, which is newspapers and magazines, reports, TV news, etc. Therefore, to understand the impact of this scenario, let us look at the competitors and the market share of instant noodles. Now, this industry had some of the big names like Patanjali, Nor Soupy Noodles, and Top Ramen, along with a bunch of other names. The breakout on this situation happened in March of 2014 when some authorities informed Nestle that MSG, which is monosodium glutamate, was detected in their product, whereas they claimed of a no MSG in the packet, on the packet. Now, Nestle decided to cease selling Maggi in the first half of 2015 until the situation was taken care of. The Food Safety and Standards Authority of India reacted by ordering Nestle to withdraw all 9 variants of Maggi from the Indian subcontinent and the Indian market and stop all commercial activities related to the product, including its production. The product approval was also withdrawn. The effect? A gigantic loss. Nestle had to publish its first quarterly loss in the operations of 17 years. A 64.4 crore loss was seen and reported. However, the trickle effect helped find out how bad quality elements in other products too. And the company had to take a one-time charge of a whopping 450 crores. Nestle's 9 variants accounted for 70% of the market share for instant noodles before the noodle ban. And of course, the share prices from the publicly listed Nestle also saw the fall. As they say, with great power comes great responsibility. And when you lose control of that responsibility, you must pay the fine. So did Nestle. The Corporate Affairs Ministry levied a fine of 640 crores on Nestle. It was also stated that the penalty amount could go higher since further damages were yet to be calculated. The management director of then board was called back by the parent company, and Suresh Narayan was the new MD or the managing director, who went on to become a chairman for Nestle too. Nestle had to shut Maggi productions from all 8 of its units across the Indian subcontinent initially, but soon after started producing in 3 of 8 factories after getting a go ahead. The negative effect of this ban also plagued Bollywood actors who promoted the product in lieu of cheating consumers and spreading misinformation. FIRs were being filed against many. In all of this, questions were raised on the cooking style of the product while taking the focus away from the product itself. Things like warnings and disclaimers on the cooking packet were also talked about. In all of this, Nestle failed in understanding that the consumers were hurt and went to create campaigns about the fact that some consumers missed the product from the market. We Miss You Too campaign was one such example. This campaign shed light on the bunch of Maggi loyalists who are telling their Maggi tales in a sans Maggi world, or a world without Maggi. Maggi Crisis goes on to show the importance of being empathetic to the public opinion. Now here's the graph of Maggi's market share before and after the ban. While the share saw a drop initially, over time in a span of few months it was observed that Maggi went on to gain public sentiment yet again, and the market share went on to about 60 to 70% just in a span of few months after the ban. However, not everything about Nestle is negative. Nestle has a firm hold in corporate social responsibility activities or CSR activities and has been actively taking part in holding their heads high in community service. Nestle says they believe in the purpose of enhancing the quality of life and contributing to a healthy future. Here are the names of the persons in the CSR community of Nestle. Dr. Mrs. Swati A. Piramal, who is the chairman of L&T CSR community. Mrs. Rama Bijapurkar and MD Managing Director Suresh Narayan. One of the 2 programs that we'll talk about in this segment is Project Jagrati. India houses around 40 million stunted children, and Nestle has a firm stand on catering to stunted children and children suffering from a lack of resources and deferred access to nutritional food. Malnutrition should be taken care of, considering that these stunted children will go on to become the future of the country. Another project is Project Serve Safe Food. This project mainly focuses on passing on knowledge about how to handle food. The program till 2019 was implemented across 17 states and union territories that impacted over 20,000 street food vendors who were awarded a certificate and a hygiene kit at the end of this training. Now, following are the company's achievements across many years. Two of them are: Maggi was amongst the top 5 in brand equity's most trusted brands in 2014. And in 2016, Nestle was recognized as the most valuable food brand in India. Here are a few external recognition forums which mention Nestle. FTSE4, MSCI, and ATNI are some of the big names on this list. Here are a few external recognition forums which mention Nestle. FTSE4, MSCI, and ATNI are some of the big names on this list. And with this, we come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching.